Just got an email, Google alert. Someone has linked your Google account to Zoom. I'm like, yeah, I know. I just did it.
It was moi. Turn on this other little light. Maybe.
Okay, I think that might have actually. Worked. Right.
Oh, it says live.
Yeah. There we go. I can see it. I might have to relay chat because I'm guessing you won't be able to see it unless you can see it on my channel. I'm not sure.
I could go to your channel and check it out. My phone only, I think I have like 50% battery, but it shouldn't be a big deal. Let me check. But check it out. Go to the Julie Morse page.
Me and technology. It's always the way at the beginning of these videos.
Oh, I got it.
I'll share it now and see if.
Yep, there's people in there. Hello, people.
Hello.
Okay.
I will just share it on Starry Eyed Supplies live now. Do. Well, I'll try to, but yes. Oh, there you go. I know Facebook, it is troublesome. Hello, everybody. How is everyone doing? I'm just fighting with technology as I do. How is everybody this weekend? That's wow. You people showed up. Hello.
They showed up.
I'm impressed. I'm like a little bit excited now.
Actual people.
Actual people. Oh my God. How's everyone doing? Daisy's choosing this moment to scratch the floor, just so everyone knows. Daisy. No.
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 How do I feel about manatees as spirit animals? That's perhaps the most random way of introducing yourself that I have ever heard.
Wow.
I imagine they're very calming. Manatees are quite, restful, aren't they?
I don't know. Back in Texas, I think our kids were 10-ish, and we took them to like the manatee excursion where they got to meet them and feed them and give them signals and stuff like that. And they were quite boisterous and mischievous because there was one that was like peeking around like this. he wouldn't let you like leave.
There you go.
Oh, mischievous.
People are playing D&D. People are getting ready for the weekend, I guess. That's awesome. So we're going to be here for about the next hour or so. We're just going to be chatting. You can feel free to ask any questions if you would like to. But we are going to be talking about kind of witching through the pandemic and some different perspectives on that for everybody. How am I? How strong the Morrigan? Are you feeling how strong the Morrigan is today too? I've been feeling how strong the Morrigan is for a good, well, life, but like really strongly.
Because she is the Morgan.
Probably for a good 2 months now, and she's just been building and building and building and building and building. So her energy is very, very strong right now, and I've got a feeling that Beltane is going to be a really interesting Beltane this year. It's not stereotypical to me. Like some years you can feel like the Fae energy coming in. It's a bit whimsy and a bit, it's still sexy, but it's a bit silly, a bit like, it's not like that this year. This year it's like blood and ancestors and mothers and grr, and like it's very Morrigan this year.
It is. It's very intense. It's a very intense energy. As soon as you step out the gate. Ooh, what's going on?
Oh, Luna, you take it easy if you've hurt your back. Ooh, I did that the other day. It's not good. Just, take it easy.
Mm-mm.
So how is Raven?
I'm actually good. I'm actually really good. I've had some interesting experiences with people during this lockdown and COVID and whatnot, but I don't know, I had to do a lot of like thought about this. I'm like, why am I just okay with this lockdown? Why? I think because I've worked in the hospitality and customer service industry for most of my life. And I generally, you learn to put that fake face on, and you smile and you just take whatever somebody gives you. And then I go back home and, hide. And so I am still working. I work 4 days a week, in my office, and my office is my own. And um, I'm not really feeling like it's anything different than my normal day to day. I've gotten to a point, I think, that after moving from Texas to this island, it's very peaceful, it's very calming. So I've just been puttering in my garden and, doing little crafts and watching a whole lot of TV without guilt, and, just chilling with my pets and my family. And it's been actually an empath's dream, honestly and truly. I was I wasn't a bad kid, but I didn't have the best relationship with my parents. And so I was always in timeout, and I was always, somehow in quarantine anyhow. So I'm just like, and whoa, cool. I get alone time. Like I'm like super excited about it. I know that sounds really weird, but there are some people that are just going nuts about it. And in my mind, this sounds really crappy, and I kind of apologize, but this was a thought that I had, and I'm just looking at people. I'm like, weak. Like, you're weak.
Oh, Raven's gonna pick fights. All right.
I'm like, weak. Like you can't like just chill out and do a puzzle or work on all those things that you say that you're going to want, that you want to do, that you never have time for. The universe just gave it to you. Here's your chance. Not only is it very important for me, as married to a former, healthcare professional, he was an OR tech. I have lots of nurses and doctors and that type of worker in my family. So I am very much stay home, stay safe, let the health professionals do what they need to do and not overwhelm them. And then I'm also like living my best, happy, solitary, witchy life right now.
It actually brings up something that I think is really interesting, actually, because it's basically how you're reacting to it is kind of a mirror about how comfortable you are spending time by yourself.
Ooh.
Because I swing, right? So sometimes I'm perfectly happy all by myself, and I can hermit mode like knows tomorrow, and I suddenly realize you might want to speak to someone today. That's it might be a good idea for social sake. And so sometimes I'm like that, and then sometimes I climb the walls a bit, and I want company. So I kind of swing between the two. But I definitely feel like there is an energy in it, which is how comfortable you are spending time with yourself, doing things by yourself, and not in the busy work, because definitely a lot of that energy of sense of self through doing things has just been taken away from people. Like, and I've said for a very long time, I think it's really sad how we define people by their job. Like, how people introduce themselves. Hi, my name is this. I'm a that. I'm a this. And it's like, this is my worth here, defined by what my job is. And that's kind of being taken away right now. So there might be an interesting shadow work thing happening with that. That's really interesting.
Very interesting shadow work. Yeah, very interesting shadow work. There's a lot of people that really relate to what they do as who they are, which there's a clear definition on that. I do lots of things. I'm an artist, I'm a mom, I'm a this, I'm a that. I do lots of things. It doesn't necessarily define me. I think it adds to who I am in some way, but it's not at the depths of who I really am. And I think that it's okay if you want to binge watch Netflix. I mean, tear it up, go for it. Nobody's stopping you right now. Does it make you happy? Does it make you happy? Does it give you some sort of joy? Do you feel is that your escape to pour yourself into a good book or a good show and kind of escape your own reality and pour yourself into somebody else's or storyline. It's a form of escape. It's a form of whatever. I'll tell you that TikTok has been therapy for me. I've been laughing my ass off. It's hilarious.
I have mixed feelings about TikTok.
Well, I haven't seen anything bad on TikTok just yet, so I don't know. I guess there's
You're doing good,
and I wasn't aware of it. I wasn't aware of it. So please
I got
educate
really
me.
upset with TikTok for on a couple of fronts. So just before all of this started, I had the pandemic started, I started going to the gym, and it was my big goal to like shift the trauma weight, right? Because being overweight is the last bit that I'm carrying from my past. And so I wanted to like get in shape, get healthy and feel good in my body. And so then I got sick in January, and then I couldn't go to the gym then. And just as I'm feeling better again, everything got shut down.
We got shut down.
So I was like, okay, well, on TikTok, they've got some really interesting, like quick little videos, and people show, you know, quick little exercises, and and they'll do one or two of them because the videos are short, but then, and they'll like do 10 reps of this, 10 reps of this, 10 reps of this. And because they're short little videos, it helps me not get lost in something, and it helps me be like, right, I could do a quick burst of this and then do something else. And so I got into TikTok for that reason. And then recently I've noticed that there's basically people have gone from that to sharing recommended diets, and oh my goodness, some of them might as well be basically anorexic videos, because they are sharing this with kids, saying that it is healthy meal sizes, and it is just not. Like, I'm weighing out all my food right now and counting calories and doing like the scan thing with the planner and stuff, so I know how much a meal that's supposed to be around 300 calories looks, and they're doing like meals that are like this, and then they're by no means what they're supposed to be. So that worried me quite a lot. And then there is some rampant like body shaming on there, like horrendous body shaming by young men in particular, like shaming women in particular, and some really sexist crap. And I got onto there, and I was enjoying it, and then suddenly I got like side smacked by this and this, and I'm like, oh god. And nobody's monitoring it at the minute. That's the other thing. Like, there's not a lot of, oh, thank you. There's not a lot of like making sure that that's not going on. No, they were doing 3 small meals a day. So I'm not talking like doing like, you know, 6 to 8 tiny little meals a day. I'm talking they were sharing 3 meals that looked maybe 150 calories max.
They're starving themselves. That's, you know, actually you actually have to eat in order to lose weight. Your metabolism will not kickstart, or it will just basically lag. It will lag, and the older we get, the worse it is. So you know, you do need to eat. It is very important to eat very healthy and good portions in order to get your metabolism to keep going. That's just what I know. But God, I'm sorry that happened. So I'm just watching the little dance videos and the challenges.
A lot of it is fun, and it's good stuff. But it's just, you know, I guess just be careful on there, depending on what you're looking at and stuff. Somebody asked a question earlier that I'll just answer now, because we've scrolled down a bit since. With regards to wearing what I wear when I'm working with the Morrigan, that can change. Because she is a shapeshifter, I don't feel that it's, if I'm reflecting the energy of the Morrigan back by being in ritual space by her, I don't want to have like one set way of dressing. So sometimes I will wear black face paint, sometimes I won't. Sometimes I will wear a particular outfit, sometimes I won't. Sometimes I'll wear certain jewelry. I've got my little raven ring on there, which is the one my sister, she rebought it me because my ex kept my other one. So my sister bought me this one, so it has extra meaning to me now as well. And honestly, I mean, I think that what you wear in ritual is more about you. It's like the gods will take you as you are. So It really is about where you are vibrationally, what you need. Like sometimes you know putting on the battle paint or whatever will really transport you, so that's a really good thing to do if that's what you need that day. But you can show up as you are in jeans and a t-shirt, as long as what your heart's in the right place.
It's about intention. Always goes back to intention.
So if, by the way, guys, if you have any questions about, like, for me or Raven, any questions is absolutely fine, but like to do with like the COVID and like witching through it and all the rest of it, feel free and we will do our best to answer them.
Do your best. Yes, I got my garden going was one of the main things that I've been really working on, because it's the season for it, so it was very easy to do. And we're, you know, got all the weeds junked up and out and seedlings planted. And I've been taking something that I thought I would share is, I don't know if those people that have K-cups, right? If they have a Keurig and they have K-cups, I actually take these and have a little bowl here so I can show you what I do. I actually put seeds in this. They're little starter seeds, because the caffeine, there's a little filter in there. And I peel off this and I take the coffee out, put that in a bag, and we'll use it in my garden in the soil for other plants. But I'll take this little guy out, and I'm doing it, sorry, off camera. So because it's messy, and then I just kind of pour it all out. And then so in there's like a little filter and whatnot, and I leave a little bit of the coffee in there, not a tremendous amount, but I get my seedling started on it, poured some good soil in there, plant my seed, and then I'll write on a Sharpie like basil on there. So once it sprouts, then I just give it to friends. You know, anybody else who's trying to start a garden. This is something that you can do, something easy, and it's, you know, kind of good for Mother Earth to reuse those things. Little tip.
At some point in the future, not now, because I live in I share a house now, but at some point I really want my own little poison garden.
Ooh.
Can't wait to be able to do that. So someday.
Have you ever been to Blarney Castle?
No.
Oh my gosh, they have the most beautiful poison garden. It's all like gorgeous gates, and it says don't touch, don't rub, don't eat, don't lift, don't nothing, you know, don't sniff, you know, but it's gorgeous. It's so beautiful. And it's just like right at the little castle gate. And then it goes into like another gorgeous garden. It's beautiful. Look that up, because you will really enjoy it. There's some gorgeous plants in there.
I've said that when this is all over, I'm going to Ireland. Like when the pandemic is done, that's one of the things I'm going to do. And I've said, like, anybody who wants to come with me, you can come with me. Unless you're going to try and murder me, in which case, please don't.
No, we like we just stayed in quarantine for all that time. We don't want to come out and like literally get murdered. Let's not.
No. Plus by that point, I might have learned some actual like self-defense and stuff, and so maybe you'd be out of luck. Nathan says he's growing henbane, which is awesome. And Luna asks, what's your take on spiritual cleansing and protection when it comes to this crisis we're in? I see strong opinions on social media about this. I mean, I've been talking about this for a whole month on Patreon. Condensing, right? Okay.
Spiritual cleansing. Well, I mean, spiritual cleansing, whether there's pandemic or whether there's not pandemic, is just vital, especially if you're in this path and you are actively doing magic. I mean, it's self-care. I mean, it's kind of like the building blocks of self-care. You have to, otherwise there's, mucks up the junk, really. But, grounding and spiritual cleansing, whether that be a wonderful salt shower, scrub, whatever you need to do to get yourself right is extremely important. And when you're off, you start to get irritable, you start to get short, you start to snap, you can tell when you're irritated, and that's usually a telltale sign. Have I done this? Let's think. Have I done it? No, I haven't. Let's go back and do that. And then usually when that happens and you go through your own personal ritual for spiritual cleansing, it kind of like levels out. You feel better. It's kind of the building blocks. It's necessary. Just like that white candle and that black candle, it's just sort of necessary.
Yeah.
Must do.
Yeah.
Mhm.
For me, with the pandemic, there's definitely been a focus on a parallel between the earth and our bodies. So when you are cleansing, it's important to think of the body in a way that I think often gets sidelined not typically in witchy paths, but in a lot of spiritual paths. They're like, oh, the body is this dirty thing, right? And the spirituality is all in the mind, or all in like up here and stuff. And earth-based religions, like, no, like, we are a reflection of what's happening in the earth. So I feel like right now it can be super easy to take on both the healing that's happening in the earth in a positive way. So the earth is healing from all of this, so we can tap into that feeling as spiritual beings. But it's also super easy to tap into all the fear and all of like the people's reactions to things. And this pandemic, as always, has brought out the best in people, but also the worst in people. So it can be super easy to like take on the heaviness, the sadness, the anger, the turmoil that comes with the worst of people's behavior. So it can be really easy to feel that in the body too. And you get these, for me anyway, I get these strange aches and pains, and when I know it's not logical, so it's not like I was working out and now I ache, so it's not like that. But when it's in the body, but it shouldn't be, quote unquote, and then I start wondering, is that a spiritual thing that needs to be cleansed out? And so I've been talking a lot this month about considering your body as a spiritual vessel, and how you treat it, how you think about it, make it, and it's simple and basic, but make sure you've got enough water, make sure you're like eating the right things to make you feel good. There's nothing wrong with having cake or whatever if you're going to feel good in that minute, but like, how your body feels at any given time eating certain things, right? And then movement, like get your body moving, and it doesn't have to be like flat out exercising. I was talking people through a grounding bit of a ritual lately, and I was like, stomp your goddamn feet, just bam 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 bam. Yeah, exactly. Shake, like the simplest thing you can do to like get rid of negative energy in the body is just shake. And that's something that I think is really important. It's important to do it anyway, but I feel like that parallel right now with the pandemic and the earth and things like that is kind of like brought that out for me in particular.
Very good, very good. I had I wanted to mention, I had a kind of an incident that happened at work yesterday, and I have this like little walk-up window where I allow people to come through, or not through, but I service their needs. Or that sounded really bad. I sounded really bad. I don't do that, FYI. FYI, don't do that. But I'm processing payments and I'm doing stuff and I'm giving them, parking decals and things like that. I work for an HOA, which is a homeowners association. I usually say HOA and people are like, what is that? Okay, so basically I'm an office manager. And I don't allow them to come to the clubhouse because everything's shut down. And I had a gentleman, an older gentleman, that was trying to get into the clubhouse, and he's pounding on the door. And so I open up the little window and I'm like, sir, you're not allowed in. I have my mask on. I have my gloves on. I am diabetic, so I'm taking this extremely seriously because I really don't want it. And he was just livid with me. I think he really was walking and he just wanted to use the bathrooms and hasn't looked at an email or the last like 3 newsletters or anything, or the sign that's right on the door and the window saying that the clubhouse is closed. So he launches into this thing and he's like, am I so dirty that you have to wear a mask and gloves? He's like, oh, is that stupid COVID thing? And blah, blah, blah. And so then he starts he's coming in the window and reaching for my mask to take it off. And he's like, let me breathe on you. I'm going to breathe on you so that way you can see that you're not going to get anything. And I'm like, back up. you know, like immediately I went into fight or flight, which I am a fighter instead of a flighter. Oh, it was awful. He was horrid. And I came home and it's like I was upset. And generally I usually take it to like a totally different escalated upsetted level because I am a double Scorpio, but I'm learning and I'm trying to be a kinder person. Anyhow, so I came home, took care of all the stuff that we need to take care of. And there's just like a particular song that just makes me happy. And it's Downtown by Macklemore and Ryan Lewis. It's probably debatable, but I just like the funkiness of it or whatever. And that's what I did. We were singing, we were dancing or whatever, and just shake it up, change that energy, get it going, because my weekend is starting and I don't want to start my weekend with that crap. Shake it off, like you were saying, dance it out, sing it out, do whatever you got to do in order to feel better, because you are in control of that. You don't have to let somebody else and so nasty and negative, you know, affect several days afterwards or make you upset for, you know, even an hour. It's not worth it. Is it really worth your energy? Is it?
There's been a lot of that kind of pulling out anything that isn't worth it and like sitting and really asking. Like, I feel like I will get back to your questions in 1 second, guys, I promise. I've felt like the pandemic really has kind of, in that macabre way, that memento mori, like remember that you two could have a limited amount of time on this planet. So it really has brought to attention like the things that just aren't worth your energy and your time anymore, because like it is glaringly obvious to most people that, you know, you could die tomorrow, and we're reminded of that with this invisible killer killing hundreds of thousands of people. And is this worth the time that you have to be spent on it? And that's definitely been a side effect for me, that I've been like, no, I'm not doing this and this anymore. I've been putting all my energy into these things and they don't nourish me, and I'm just done. And that's definitely been a through line for me too.
Yeah.
So
it's hard to get there.
Yeah,
it's hard to get there sometimes.
I'm terrible for it because I'm like, oh, I put all this time and energy into this thing. It's not worth it, but I put all this time and energy into this thing.
I'm responsible for it. I own it. You're like, no, you don't. Just put it down.
Exactly. So Little Cosmic Crow says, have you guys learned anything new within your practice, or have you been wanting to learn something new lately, or have you been just taking the time to relax?
I have been researching herbs. I am still running my online shop and I have orders to get out. So I've been doing that, but I've been trying to research some of the herbs that grow here locally. You know, what look to be like weeds, I found out are not, and learning like my whole new kind of geographical location of what grows here. So I've been kind of diving into that and drying some things. One of that would be purple dead nettle. So I've been researching and looking at that, and it's growing everywhere right now. So I've been harvesting. My cat decided that this was the time to poop. I apologize. I don't know how to fix that other than spray something. But that won't affect you. But just really chilling. I think I'm sort of cocooning. I don't feel like it's shadow work that I'm doing. I feel like it's healing, calm energy that I am just pouring into myself, because I am the type that runs myself ragged, and I will throw myself into everything thinking that I can do it all. And then generally I get stressed out and then I get sick. So I am like, this is a really good time to actually practice self-care and see what it does for my practice. So that's what I'm doing.
I'm learning to belly dance. That's one of the new things that I'm learning to do. Like I said, I can't go to the gym right now, so I was looking at ways that were fun, that I enjoy, and that I can do in limited space to help with the weight loss and everything. But really it was it needs to be fun first, because I actually enjoy going to the gym. I enjoy having that time to myself. I enjoy, like, headphones in, ignore the rest of the world, and just, so it needed to be something for me that was enjoyable. So I started doing that, and it does flow with that body magic that we were talking about really well. But for me, it's not really, well, I guess you were always learning, but it's not on purpose, like, learning on purpose. I've kind of been pouring a lot of my energy into Patreon, into the Morrigan work, into the work that I do. Orders are still going out, things of that, with higher standards of sanitization and all the rest of it.
Of
So
course. Absolutely.
it takes a little bit longer for the store stuff, because everything has to be sanitized. I can only go to the post office once a week, so on and so forth. But I'm still working around the clock. So it's kind of like the energy given to me by Morrigan was protect the tribe. So that's what I've been doing. Like, she was like, we need to, like, unite people. We need to talk. We need to give people the tools to help them. We need to, and I needed to get out in front of the whole fake positivity, false positivity thing, because Morrigan was like breathing down my neck, and I was getting very stressed about the whole false positivity reactions to. I was like, let people feel how they feel. Oh my. I really don't like, there's that meme that's like, sunshine's still around, and this is still around, and this is still around, and this is still around. I'm like, just let people feel crap. If they feel crap, let them feel crap, and stop invalidating how they feel. Like, yes, somebody I know is very sick with COVID, but at least the sun's still shining. Like,
it's like, yes, we're all going to come to these realizations on our own, but it is a process, and we all process differently. And if you can't process those feelings, how are you ever going to get to a positive state? I mean, I just had somebody that passed away that was one of the board members that worked where I worked, and it was the person that I took the place for as the office manager. It was her dad, and her mom also is in hospice with it, fighting it, but I don't think it's going to work out. She's about to lose both of her parents. And it's a very sobering thought, for somebody to just get hit and lose both parents inside probably a week. She's not doing well. And, I would never say, well, the sun is shining. It's like, come on, we're humans first, and we have to treat each other as such.
Yeah, exactly. So Mistress Panther Knight asks, do you feel that using your mind and thoughts and intentions with no tools is considered spell work? I will say this, I don't like the idea that on either angle that you must do it one way. Spell work is entirely personal, and how you feel it works best for you is great, but it's also just how it works best for you. It doesn't mean that that's the right way to do it. So there is no right way. There is the best way that works for you, which is usually playing with how that works for you and figuring that out. And you can absolutely do it with nothing if that's what works for you. If you like my Taurus moon is like, we like to have physical things to help us focus our energy, and we like to have pretty things that kind of get us in that witchy zone. That's fine too. And if you'd like to work with just a candle, that's absolutely fine. Like, there's no rules to how magic works. It's just finding what works best for you in that sense anyway.
It really does go back to that all the time. I remember when I first started YouTube, there was that big thing. It's like, well, do you need things in order to do spell work, or or do you like things to do spell work? And I feel that it all starts with your intention. And as you're starting to build your spell, and you're writing things out, and you're preparing and prepping and gathering, herbs or oils or whatnot, right? Your intention is part of that spell work. For me, I like things. I like things. I like stuff. And I think I've said this, I'm not one to be without the stuff, but I've learned that over time that I cluttered maybe just a little bit too much stuff, and maybe focused back and maybe streamlined it a little bit. But it does start with your intention. You can do that, but I think that you really do, like Joey was saying, play with it, and understand your practice, because it is specific to you. And I know that so many of us YouTubers say that, well, it's all about you. You use rose quartz for this. It could also be used for this. I mean, it was pretty prevalent when you're looking at various books and one book says this and the other book says that. It's because that's what worked for them. So you really have to put in the time and the energy to figure out what works for you. And that's when your Book of Shadows or your grimoire, really comes in handy, because you start writing down what didn't work for you. That's just as important as what did work. So, I don't know, do your research.
Emily says, what advice would you give for dealing with a lot of toxic positivity from a community of local mums and a school who are putting a lot of pressure on the kids and parents? Ooh,
yuck.
You're walking a line, basically.
Pretty much, you are walking a line. You're like, ugh.
Yeah.
It's really all about the kids and what's best for them, and not really what's best for us, because it's their world. So I have had to learn as a mom to sometimes, because I didn't agree with something, but I would have private conversations once my kids were home. And I'm like, look, your teacher said this and this and this, and that's what they have to do because they're mandated, that's their directive from their higher ups, right? That's their bosses are telling them to do that. And that's the way they run it. Here's the bigger picture. If you want to know what's going on, and although you are in their realm, so to speak, this is in their house, so to speak, you have to do it that way, but it doesn't mean that you don't have to agree with them, but you do have to be respectful in the fact that this is their school, this is their process, this is their way. And then you just you got to ride that line.
Yeah. Raven is better to advise you, honestly, Emily, because I don't have kids. So it's not a situation that I have ever been through myself personally. I've seen it with my nephew and a little bit with I live with a family and they have a kid, so I've seen a little bit of school politics. It can be a frightful mess because you don't want to be like upsetting teachers too much and things. You don't want your kid to like suffer because the teachers are like taking the hump with something, things like that. And it can be a whole like political minefield from what I've seen. But like, as I said, it's not something that I have firsthand experience in. So I would just hand you over to Raven's answer for that. And I will just say that I don't know very much about it because I don't.
I have disagreed with teachers before and was quite mouthy about it. Double Scorpio, sorry. Not sorry. It is what it is. But I've watched my kids have other parents who didn't agree with me. They would not let their children play with my children. I have seen teachers kind of sort of make my kids pay for my beliefs. I've seen that. So it's rough. It is rough. And I don't want my kids to be hurt because of my beliefs. Or my mouth, because I couldn't control it for whatever. I didn't agree with a certain ceremony, or I didn't agree with, the way a teacher highlighted the subject or something like that. And I think for me, mainly my disagreements with them was having to deal with raising kids in the Bible Belt and in Southern Texas, was a little bit rough when we didn't quite believe everything. Like, have to be super uber Christian in order to be popular in Texas. That's how that goes. So that was rough for me. That was really, really painful to watch my kids take the heat for something that I said.
Yeah. So Mistress Panther Knight says, my response, I've tried using tools like a simple candle spell, but I've noticed that when I try things like that, my energy lacks and I lose confidence. Any thoughts? I was actually thinking about something on these lines. Actually, I was trying to make a video earlier and I was struggling to make it. So Maybe it was just because we were meant to talk about it in here. So I think one of the strongest forms of self-protection when it comes to, and this will feed into spell work as well, is actually being very strong in your sense of who you are and your sense of self, and not doubting yourself. I think it's a really strong barrier of self that guards against outside influences affecting who you are. Like, if you know who you are, if you're strong in who you are, if you know you did the right thing, all of that sort of thing, and you are sure of it, confident in it, then the other people flinging negative magic at you isn't going to matter, because you are strong in your sense of self. I would still do the cleansing and the protection and all that, of course. I wouldn't recommend that you don't. But I think one of the strongest things is when you are firm in your sense of self, you're firm in what you know. And when you start to doubt yourself, and that lack of confidence, then there's a kind of disconnect that happens. And it feels like, to me, what's happening is, when you're just doing it in your mind, you're very clear about what intention is, what you want the spell to do. And when you have, props or candles or whatever you have in front of you, you're losing focus a little bit, because maybe there's thoughts creeping in, like, I'm not sure if I'm doing this correctly, I'm not sure if I need this, I'm not sure. And that kind of I'm not sure hesitant feeling is creeping into the energy of the spell work, and that's why you're losing focus. So yeah, exactly as Claire said, confidence is a powerful thing. And
Confidence.
it's that surety sense of self, and I feel like that pulls into spell work as well, and ritual work. So if you feel more confident about what it is or how you're doing something, then you're going to naturally flow into the magic of that spell a little bit easier as well.
Totally agree. I totally agree. I think that when you're your most authentic self, your spell work will kind of reap the benefits of that. When you're new to something, you're trying something different, there's a learning curve that happens, when you decide you're gonna never done cauldron magic before, there's going to be a learning curve and what works for you, and that confidence will come as you do it more. So definitely be patient with yourself, and be kind to yourself, because you're learning. But there's definitely that when you're being 100% authentic and instinctual, I think that is when my best magic comes out.
I'll actually give you an example from my own life. So when I was in a particularly bad situation with an individual in a relationship, and I was having my magic actually questioned all the time by somebody who was supposed to love me, right? That definitely had an impact on who I felt and how my magic went. And I even got to a point of apathy, because everything I was saying was being questioned, and I was like, well, what's the point in me even participating in this magic or participating in this conversation or whatever. And that definitely had a very strong impact on the time, on sense of self and things like that. I will say that there are times in our life where we might find that we need somebody else's help when it comes to magic. Healing magic in particular is one that I have no shame, that if I need to go and get an outside healing done because I'm in a low energy place, I have no guilt about that whatsoever, and I will go get it done, because that to me is self-care, and recognizing that I'm not in the right energetic state, I'm not in the right mind state. So I will go, and I will go to someone I trust, obviously, and go have deep healing done. And I had that done not that long ago. It was obviously before the pandemic, but and that is something that's interesting, actually, because right now that is kind of denied us, at least in person. We can get into that vibe of everybody is connected through the spiritual ecosystem. There is no real disconnection, so we can do long distance healing. That is possible, of course. It doesn't always have the same feeling as in person, when you can feel their energy, you can smell the incense and all the rest of it. So that's an interesting thing that hadn't occurred to me until right now, that might be something that's a bit more difficult to come by in terms of healing magic while the pandemic's on.
You know, it brought to mind that I had a pretty awesome Reiki session before all of this lockdown happened, before this quarantine happened. And I wonder if that's why I'm all right. I wonder if that's what it is. I'm like, I got myself, tweaked basically,
Yeah.
because I was running on empty. I was really, taking on way too much that was way over my head at work and feeling very, insufficient, even though I wasn't, but I'm just harder on myself than anybody else would be. It's got that Virgo, it just is who I am. It's how I'm wired. I take everything very
Mhm.
seriously. I don't commit to something if I'm not going to give 110% to it. I just don't operate that way. That was me as a younger person, and I hated that person. I hated the younger me. I will want that waist back at some point.
Yeah.
I will want that back. But, the older I get, the more I kind of like myself and I'm in my own skin. But yeah, I did this really right across the street. I have a male witch friend who did an amazing Reiki on me. And it's self-care. It is absolutely self-care. And I really needed it. There's only so much that I think that we can do ourselves. Sometimes we're not even looking at what we really need to address.
I
And
just
somebody else
I
is.
just need to interrupt you 1 second.
Yes.
Draven, no. You have no idea what an inner critic is until you know a Virgo. Like, no. I know we all criticize ourselves, but as a fellow Virgo, I can back her up. It's not
rough.
good.
It's a rough. Well, okay. So do you, like, when you go to sleep, are you already thinking of the list of stuff that you've got to do tomorrow? It's like you can't go to sleep until you're like, okay, I gotta do this. Like I will drive myself crazy with overthinking, and I have to stop.
Basically I have to distract myself before bed by either watching something or listening to something or just taking my mind out of the equation. Because otherwise it's like, all these things we didn't accomplish today, don't you? We should have done all these things on the list that you didn't manage to do on the list. They've got to go on tomorrow's list. They do, don't you?
Yeah, and that's going to compound that list, and then you're going to be off, and then you're not going to be able to get the blah 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 blah. I'm like, it's like we are really our own worst enemy. We really are. And Noah Tempestari will get a random message from me all the time, and I'm like, okay, so I did this and this and this. What do you think? And he's like, put your phone down. Go to bed. He will talk me off the ledge. He really will. He's like, okay, and Snow Orchid does this for me too. Those are my besties, and they sort of balance me out. They're like, you're really like, no, they, and I think that it's good to have a relationship with a couple of, really, really good friends that know you like nobody else does, that can kind of help mirror, hold that mirror up to you and be like, this is really what's going on. Okay to set it down, and it's good to have, friends like my friend John across the way, that I know that he's protecting me spiritually and helping me heal, and I can again be very, very authentic and honest, 100% honest. And let's face it, there's a lot of those friends that have different levels, and how honest and transparent are you really with them? You can't be that with everybody, but there is your little tribe that you need to, otherwise there's no growth for you.
So Draven also asked, has anyone ever tried to tap into a ley line to aid your magic?
Yes.
That's it. Yes. That's what you're getting.
Yes. I highly suggest doing so. Yes. Absolutely.
Yes. I don't know if I call it well, I guess you could call it ley lines. The way that I pull on earth energy very much is in keeping with that. So it would be like to draw energy up through the earth into my physical body all the time. I love earth magic. My top 3 star signs are all earth. I'm like, the under is all fire, which might explain the rest of me, but like the top 3 are all earth. So like pulling on earth energy is really something that is incredible to me. And it was interesting when I was in Norway, the land responded so quickly to me, and it like blew me, like I cried because it blew me away. And I have heritage there. I have ancestry there, so that might be part of it.
That's what it is.
Um,
Yep.
and it's just drawing that energy up from the earth, and it just makes you feel so connected. It makes you feel really freaking witchy in a way that I don't know that is comparable to anything else, because you're like, I am one with the earth right now when you're doing it. And like, it's very stereotypically witchy when you do it. It's awesome.
It is awesome. It is awesome. I am Virgo double Scorpio. So I'm Virgo sun, and then my moon and rising are Scorpio. So those are water signs. And so if I get emotional, I get emotional. Like it's and into sometimes an unhealthy state, which is why I've got my people in my corner that help me. But when I moved here, or when I came here for the first time, I had that feeling of just like it was just like a sigh of relief. It's like you're home. This is where you were meant to be, just and stuff just sort of, like you said, happened so easily. It wasn't a struggle. And in Texas, I'm not saying that Texas is a horrible place. It's a lovely place for lots of people. I was just landlocked and in so much emotional pain while I was there that I was hiding, and I wasn't doing everything that I really needed to do. I was really there for my children, is really what I was. I was sacrificing my happiness for my kids. That's what I was doing.
Yeah, I've just realized though, you're now living on an island, right?
Uh-huh.
So you've
Water everywhere.
yeah, so land, water, water, which is the same as your star sign, which is land, water, water.
Yep.
So no wonder you feel at home. My goodness.
Like in it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I feel great. It's awesome. The forests, the wildlife. My office looks over the beach, and I'm actually looking at northern Seattle, across the water, which is Linwood, and Mukilteo, which is Indian, Eskimo Indian names. But the tide goes out, and there's a mama bald eagle with 4 of her young, teaching them how to hunt. You're sitting there watching this, you're like, what? You just, wow. Then you go outside to go get the mail, and a chipmunk runs by, and then there's like 3 bunnies playing, and then you see some deer, you're like, what up? I mean, it's like I'm living in a freaking Disney movie.
Awesome.
It is awesome.
Just awesome. You do get quite a lot of wildlife in the UK as well, of course, and we have been seeing a lot more of them since the pandemic, since there's just less people around and things. So yeah, that's awesome. So Matthew Jason Willis asks, do you have any advice on connecting with herself during these times? I'll be honest, my job is considered essential, and while I'm grateful for being employed, I'm jealous of those who have extra time to work with herself. Do you mean herself as in Morrigan, or as in goddess in general? I just want to clarify. Wow, the comment section. I'm like way up here with the comment section.
I know, it's out of control.
I'm going to assume you meant Morrigan, but we can touch on goddess energy in general if you like. Where was your original question? Morrigan, right? Good. Morrigan. For connecting with her right now, she's very, very present. I think if you ask, you will get quite a strong reaction right now. The crows have been mad lately. Like people like Laura Daligan has had crows down her chimney on multiple occasions and had to let them out the front door. I had a crow sit right outside on like the windowsill and like caw at me and made me jump out of my skin, because I was like, what the, like, expecting like a massive crow outside. And they've been quite loud, to the point where I've actually gotten them on tape, like on video, when I've been recording, and I'm like, oh gosh, I hope you can hear them. And you can, because they're so loud right now. But if you are feeling that there is, what was interesting is that you brought it into the same thought process, the same line as you were saying, like, I am feeling jealous of people who are getting to stay at home, and that underlies that kind of stress that you feel about being an essential worker, which is natural and you know, absolutely understandable because you're feeling more at risk. You're basically going to war by any other name, right? You're basically on the front lines against an invisible enemy. You are connected to the Morrigan through what you are already doing. So whilst it can feel scary, inconvenient, a pain in the ass, and you can have all of these feelings around it, you actually are doing the Morrigan's work because you are in an archetype of warrior work. And so it might be something as simple as shifting the mindset to firstly realizing that, but secondly, then bringing a little ritual into that. So every time you leave your front door, you think about putting your psychic armor on. You think about like carrying something with you that honors the Morrigan, like maybe a little black obsidian or whatever you can carry with you safely and hygienically, depending on where you work. And if you can't carry anything with you, then you might just want to draw with your fingertips, like draw a sigil on your hand before you leave. In energy, if you can't do anything else, you might want to just say a little chant for the Morrigan at certain times during the day or on break, whatever it is. Any little way that you can bring in little flavors of the Morrigan into your work day where you are already embodying her energy, I think is the best for you, because that's the immediate feeling she gave me. Like, you're already working and honoring her, you're just not seeing it.
I see. You know, your talk of the Morgan, I know that we connected a long time ago because I celebrate Bridget. And I know that there is a connection between Bridget and the Morgan. And I haven't done as much reading up on it as you had, but maybe you could talk about that, because for me right now in the garden, Mother Earth, Bridget energy is super strong. And I'm wondering if that's really what I'm feeling is also Morgan energy through Bridget. But I would like to hear your thoughts on that.
From a personal gnosis perspective, it's not in the mythology at all. I will just say that before I get recons coming for me. But in personal gnosis, they feel like sister energies to one another. So, and it's really interesting because it's like, to me, they are two sisters, and the media of the church portrayed them in completely opposite ways. So Bridget became like a goodly little saint, la la la, and Morrigan became and Morrigan became like an evil like fairy, right?
Like Maleficent.
Yeah. But Bridget has her fiery arrows of justice. She's in charge. Woo, hi Bridget. I just got a surge of energy all the way up through my spine. There she is.
She's right behind me right now. My altar is literally right behind my head.
Yeah. She was sacred to blacksmithing. And so she has all this alchemy and all this magic through alchemy. But the big way that they correspond to one another is the magic of the poetic word. Because the Morrigan speaks in poetic prophecy in a lot of her mythology. She delivers a lot of her prophecy in like poetic ways. She calls herself a satirist, which is like a poetress, but also has an undertone of like curse work and things of that nature into it. And Bridget is, of course, sacred to the bards, and has her swan feather cloak on, which is like the swan song, like the one beautiful, most perfect piece of poetic or artistic art that somebody comes out with before they pass on. So that's where they correlate the most for me, is in that poetic spoken word. They both, to me, they both deal with a kind of healing, and some people drastically argue whether or not Morrigan heals, but like Bridget's healing is more all-encompassing, whereas Morrigan is like, we'll break it and fix it. Yeah, we're gonna break it and set it. And you're like, no, where's Bridget? Bridget, I need healing, help.
Mama, you're like, Mama. Yeah.
But it really winds, like, I love Bridget, but I have to, I'm sorry for anyone who sees it this way, but I hate the artistic representation of Bridget where it's all like flowing gowns and very ethereal and blah, because whenever I see Bridget, she's in full leathers with like a blacksmith hammer, like sitting around a fire, like like
There's
Celtic.
also warrior energy there. There's warrior energy and justice and
Yep.
so much more. You know, it's kind of
Mm,
like when I was with Aphrodite for a time frame, so much more than what you think. So
mhm.
much. Yeah. hmm We all dive into them differently. Thank you for that, because I know when I was first starting my path, Bridget was the first to connect with me, and I was watching your channel a lot because you were diving into many of the goddesses and representations and various stuff. And so I went to Starry Eyed Supplies to actually read up a lot on your products, you know, because you had done just a vast amount of research. And so I have put in orders for how many goddesses at this point? Probably,
A
I'm going to
few.
say 5 or 6, 5 or 6. And Miss Joey taps into every single one of them. And when I have their products on their altars that she has created, and she has got this really, really awesome gift to kind of bring out what they want. And when I give those offerings, it's just a wonderful experience. So I thank you for that. I really do.
Thank you. If I saw another question and I've lost it, I'm sorry, guys. I'm going to find it. Scrolling.
Oh, I know they're talking about Maleficent a lot, which, by the way, I'm a huge fan.
I saw the second Maleficent movie. I went straight out and bought that lipstick. I'm not even
Oh,
going to lie.
heck yeah. Absolutely.
Tiger said, any advice on connecting or working with male deities? Lou appeared to me, but I've only worked with female, mostly Brigitte so far.
Mm.
Have you worked with a lot of masculine energies?
I have worked with some, and mainly because we have Odin very present in our home. My husband is a Viking, so that is his main deity that he works with. And so, just because by location, I also work. So there's our house is sort of divided up. It's like, this is this person's, this is this space, this is this space. The two shall not meet. Like Bast and Bridget, not friends. Let me just say,
Oh.
I thought at first they were friends. No, no. But Odin seems to flow through pretty much all of it, and is very accepting of what I do. So I also work with him.
My advice for working with masculine energy is take a good look at where you might be blocked when it comes to masculine energy. A lot of people who come into the pagan path may have come from a Christo background, and so they might have a negative connotation with like the idea of a masculine deity that they carry with them. Or you might have had negative experiences with masculine energy at some point, like I did. I had negative associations with my biological father, and so that kind of had a shadow in place for me when connecting to masculine energy for a while. I had to work through those shadows before I was able to like work with masculine energy. Another way of looking at it is you can make an argument for the fact that gods aren't really masculine or feminine. That's just how we see them. Like we categorize them, right? We put them into a field of view which is accessible to us, so we can understand something that is bigger than us, right? Big gods, little us. So we kind of
drop the mic. Drop the mic right there. That was like awesome.
So sometimes it can help you to work in like an abstract, like it's not really masculine or feminine, it just is. If that helps you, that can be one way around it. But for me, the shadow work is a big part of it, because it's usually us that's blocking our connection to certain deities. Not always, like some deities won't work with us because it's not right for them, not right for us, who knows what reason. But it's usually our own shadow that's blocking and getting in the way of it. And just kind of be open to the experience and try and like rewrite how you see what masculine deity is, because all of the masculine deities that I've ever come into contact with are completely not firstly what you would expect, especially if you're going from a Christocentric point, right, which is like this masculine emperor archetype down on high. I am right and you are wrong, and if you go against me, I'll cast you aside. Yeah. I've never met a masculine entity like that through the pagan path at all, and they're usually quite interesting, and they bring out very different experiences in us. So that would be my advice.
That's really good advice. That was amazing. That's really good. Oh, I see a question. Joey, do you think you can draw a comparison to the Jolie version of Maleficent and the Morrigan?
Well,
growing
up, I mean, this is not the Jolie version, but growing up, I was completely obsessed with Disney's Maleficent. Like, as a little kid, that's who I wanted to be. Like, none of this, I mean, I loved Belle from Beauty and the Beast as well, but who I wanted to be was Maleficent. I had like, you know, you get those washing poles that you put washing lines up with. I had one of those as my staff that would bang on the thing, and I wanted a little raven on my shoulder. I loved Maleficent completely and utterly. And when you actually look at the Disney storyline of the bad fairy, there are parallels that you can draw to the Morriganic myth. It is obviously not, like, don't take this to a reconstructionist, please gods, but like, it's like a modern evolutional portrayal that you can see influences of the Morrigan within the Maleficent energy. Obviously the Jolie version is different. Again, it has that dark fae thing, which you can make crossovers because of the way that Christians demonize the goddesses into dark fairies. The way she was dressed in the second one was very, like, with the crows and the crow feathers and things. You can have that little Morrigan feel. Is it the Morrigan flat out? No, of course not. It's a modern archetype of a dark fairy within her power, within her sovereignty, who affects the land, who affects all these thorns and things. So you can draw parallels between them, but is it the same? It's not the same goddess, obviously, but you can definitely draw that kind of parallel. You can see influences of it.
Yeah, you could see where they got that from. You definitely could see how the creators of that character and where they took it and where they brought that from. You could definitely see that.
Yeah.
I feel the same. Sleeping Beauty was my favorite, absolutely favorite movie until I saw The Little Mermaid. And then so those two, so I love Maleficent and I love Ursula. I love me some Ursula.
Maleficent's definitely my favorite villain, but I was massively obsessed with Beauty and the Beast growing up because I could see a lot of myself in Belle with like the reading and the feeling like an outsider and things like that. So I loved Beauty and the Beast. Mind you, I loved a lot of them as a kid. Like, I loved Aladdin as a kid. I loved The Lion King as a kid. Did we catch up with questions? Goodness, have I caught up?
I think so.
I think we've
I'm
caught
the worst. I'm the worst. Well done.
Yeah. So glad they made Disney villains get backstories.
I am too.
Would you be a Seelie or an unseelie if you were a fairy? Are you a light or dark fae?
Light or dark? Is this question for me? I mean, a question for me, like, I don't know. I just don't really go dark or light. That's not part of my practice. I just don't. I'm just sort of like down the middle. I guess I'm gray.
Yeah,
I'm wearing gray. I don't know. I mean, it's just,
if we're being honest, like realistic, we're not like light and dark people. We see shades of everything. But like, if we're going stereotypical, like, light is like complete do-gooder, and like, I guess I would be on the darkest side because I'm too naughty to be like light and good all the time. Like, I make all the right moral decisions. Like even when playing video games, I can't be mean to characters. I just can't do it. But at the same time, I'm not like I don't go, oh, everything is love and light, and blah blah blah, and everything is great. So I think I'm probably more on like the dark fairy side of things.
I think I am too. I think I am too. I sometimes all of the light fluffy stuff, it's annoying to me.
Yeah.
Actually annoying to me. I just like, I can only take it for so long, and I'm just like, okay, here we go. Like, I'm like, can we get real?
Oh, girl, I love me some Labyrinth. Labyrinth growing up, my goodness. Oh, I mean, now I love Labyrinth. I can quote Labyrinth back to you. Never go that way.
Eternal stench, stink bad.
Come inside, meet the missus.
Yeah, I did too. Oh, I did too. I was sobbing at work. And in fact, my boss, who I was not getting along with at the time, she came in when Bowie had passed away that morning, and we both hit the same Starbucks on the way to work. And I saw her there. She had tears in her eyes, and then I had tears in my eyes. And we got back to the office, and we just got there and just sort of hugged each other. I mean, I hope that at my memorial service, when I die, that somebody will please play Under Pressure for those sitting there. I feel that that is an amazing, and you know what? Maybe that's the theme song of this damn quarantine.
Mm. Yeah.
It's just so much. Did so much good. I'm very happy and glad that I was on the earth the same time he was, to have experienced that.
Ooh, Joey, I know that you have recently gone through a breakup. I've been single for a very long time, which I'm okay with as a solitary. But what are your thoughts on creating a dream board? What, for like a relationship for the future kind of thing?
You just throw Gerard Butler up there.
I shared one that was like Cullen from Dragon Age that somebody else had made, and I was like, this is what I want.
This is what I want. Or Henry Cavill. Or Henry Cavill. We'll just look at him.
I mean, creating a dream board, it you know, is no bad thing. When it comes to relationships, though, I am a big believer in that what we need tends to find us. And like, I've been through toxic relationships, but I honestly feel like that's the bloody Morrigan putting me through it. Like, you know, this lesson we didn't learn.
Let's do it again.
And putting a dream board is a nice idea in terms of the kinds of energies that you would like. And you might want to put like keywords like honest and loyal and funny and things like that. But you can't really define people in terms of simple spell work. You can't really ask for specific people because there's the ethics of love magic anyway, which, you know, it's unethical to try and force one person. But when you are trying to like invite in energy, there is so much room for like things falling through the cracks. Because I did this before, and I had like a very long list. And when I look back at that list, I'm like, this is where something fell through the cracks and turned into a toxic thing. And this is where something fell through the cracks and turned into, like, I wanted somebody who was secure with their, like, I didn't want someone else who was a thief of money, right? So I wanted someone who was secure with their own money and yada, yada, yada. And what I should have asked for is like someone with a job who like enjoys their job and puts the energy into. I shouldn't have just been like secure with money. Like, bad choice, bad call. But relationships, I guess, are just, they will be what they will be. At this point, I'm not even thinking about it for myself, to be honest. I'm not even looking at it. I just want to heal right now. So I'm trying to put myself in a thought process that I'm not technically ready for. So I'm kind of struggling with that a little bit in answering your question. But I would just say create your mood board by all means, and then just be open to whatever comes, because sometimes the best love in our life doesn't look anything like we expected it to.
Yep. Still going. Any good books for inspiration for making prayers?
I mean, I could share my books with you. Songs of Shade by Jerry Morris. You'll love them. Now available as downloads. No. I've got a couple over here. Firstly, Women Who Run with the Wolves is great for all these kinds of things. That's a big book though. I Am Her Tribe. Ooh. I Am Her Tribe is by Danielle Dolby, and I absolutely love it. And the Book of She is over there somewhere too. And they're really good for, so like Stitchomancy, but also that kind of prayer, invocation, spell work. So if I just, whoop, oh, there you go. So I opened the page up and you got 2 lines. Open heart with backbone.
Ooh. Tell me that's not an oracle card.
Mm-hmm.
Woo!
Which kind of sums up everything we were just talking about. So
Yeah.
It's been so long I don't see it in my life personally. I worry that I'm not gonna, honestly, I'll be honest with you, I worry that I'm not gonna find somebody either, because every time I've gotten myself into a relationship lately, it's just been not correct for me. Let's put it that way. Who knows? Fingers crossed that there is someone out there. But yeah, I know that feeling, but at the same time, I'm a ruthless optimist to the point where I'm like, if I give up, then I might as well give up completely. So I refuse to give up. I get quite more organic about it. Like, no, I'm not going to let them take it from me. I will believe in true love. I will find it. That's my Taurus moon right there.
I had a relationship. My ex-husband, was very attractive, very, very stunning man, and was very abusive, was nasty abusive. I didn't think I was going to fall in love again with anybody. And along comes the bear. And, he wasn't what I thought I would be attracted to. I was attracted to, his energy, his spirit, more than anything, and everything else just sort of fell in line. It was very much meant to be, but I know that I appreciate him more having gone through all of that other crap with everybody else. So it's not that I put him on a pedestal, but it's just I feel like we're very equally yoked to that's a Christian term, I apologize. But it's true, but it's true. I feel like we're really good partners, and that's what I was looking for the second time around. I was looking for a life partner. If we were going to raise kids, I wanted to be on the same page about everything. I feel bad for him because our first date was pretty much an interview, and I had a Virgo checklist, and I'm like, where do you stand on political views for the feminine, da 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 da? How do you feel? And he just took it. He just took it. He's just like, this is a woman right here. But, I've been in relationships with women, been in relationships with men. I've had a relationship with my cat for the last 7 years. It's going really well. Mm-hmm. However, it's like, I think that the new term is more pansexual, where you're connecting with, I identify as bisexual. However, I think the new term or new coin phrase is pan. Am I correct in saying that? You find that person's energy, and it's undeniable. And I wasn't looking for Bear, wasn't looking for him. But when he came along, I'm just like, well, let's make sure everything lines up. Stupid.
Clearly, that's what I need to do. I need to take a Virgo checklist. Right. Do you have any crazy relatives? Are you going to try and kill me while I sleep?
Let's talk about it.
Are you going to try and steal my money? No? Okay, good. You passed the first round. Good.
Do you cook?
I don't mind that. I like cooking, so I don't care if they can cook. Like, are you going to help clean up after I cook? That's something that yeah. Like, I don't mind if someone can't cook. I don't mind if they can. That would be awesome. But like, that's not a big thing for me. I'm like, Taurus moon's got that, honey. We've got that. We can do that.
I'm the cleaner. I'm the cleaner in the relationship and the organizer, and he is definitely the cook. And he had a little hissy fit the other day. He's like, I don't know how I turned into a domestic. And I'm like, I stopped cooking when the kids were in high school. So like, this isn't like they're about to be 25. So this is not like, I'm just like, I'm good with just eating my avocado toast. You don't need to cook for me. I'm fine. But it's like, when I come home, where's my dinner? Where is it? But
Yeah.
he does such a good job with that. I just don't. I cook holiday meals. I am excited about it's a ritual for me, I think, of what it is. And I get excited about the holiday meals because I'll pour all of my love into it because I want my family to feel that. But on the day-to-day, I'm like, I'll take, where's the protein bar? Like, I don't care. Like, I just don't care. I like to eat delicious food. I just don't like to make it. And I don't want to clean up after. I just don't.
The cleanup after is the bit that I hate. Yeah, that's the bit where I'm like, does someone else want to do this bit?
It's like, I really enjoy doing laundry. I actually enjoy doing laundry, but I don't want to put it away. It makes me mad. If somebody can do all of the laundry and I'm like laying in bed and Bear brings like the piles, I'm just like, how dare you? Do you know that I'm watching Vampire Diaries right now? I don't have time for this shit. Like, how dare you? Now I have to get up and put this stupid clothes away?
Yeah, I hate putting clothes away. I hate ironing as well. Like,
you do have to cuss at me. It's the truth.
Oh, that's a good question. Do you feel represented or misrepresented when elements of pagan culture and practices are used in popular urban or epic fantasy stories, whether it be book, movie, or TV?
I feel misrepresented most of the time.
I
The
don't
Chilling
know that.
Adventures of Sabrina. Let's just take that.
Oh, no. I mean,
I love that it's on TV, but I'm like, come on. Come on.
I mean, I definitely, did you see, what was it? The Luna one recently, the Vox Luna that was on.
I haven't watched that yet. That's hey, really, I haven't really finished good. Netflix. I gotta go watch that now.
That was really interesting and really beautiful. But generally speaking, I tend to think of witches in popular culture as being like a separate animal. I know that people do make comparisons. I know that some people are obviously going to think that we think we are, Sabrina or whatever, and that's at this point, that's up to them. If they don't want to learn the truth, then that's it. Luna Nera. I loved Luna Nera. That was great. So I tend to treat it as a completely separate animal because, yeah, it doesn't represent us. Yennefer from Witcher is the kind of witch I think I am. Yennefer's the kind of witch I want to be if I want to get to sit next to Geralt. I mean,
hello.
My God.
I have loved Henry
That can go on the mood board. That can go on the mood board.
That man I have loved since he was in Tudors. I was like, who is this? Did you know that he was actually supposed to be Edward Cullen? But they didn't take him because he was too old for the role. But I'm just like, I would have liked to watch that sparkly vampire. Hello.
Well, he went on to much better things than that. So
yeah, like Superman.
Yeah. Yeah, toss something at Geralt, but it won't be a coin. Well, I mean, there you go.
There you have it.
But yeah, to get back to your question, I don't feel that that I feel about the same way. I love seeing witches in the mainstream. I like it from a fashion perspective because it usually means we're going to get some good, interesting clothing out of it. And some makeup sometimes too. Like sometimes you like that Maleficent lipstick that I mentioned earlier. Oh, beautiful. And sometimes I'll do whole collections around stuff. And I like stories. I'm a big fan of stories. I'm a storyteller at heart myself. I like different stories and seeing how things play out. Now, when things are done badly, it can irk me, because I think Sabrina has been done badly.
I agree.
I the Hail Satan after everything was driving me crazy. The last series got really weird to the point where, spoilers if you haven't seen the last season, I was rooting for the old pagan god witchy people. I was like, I'd rather they were victorious at this point. I liked the Hecate ritual at the end where they started taking some of their power back, but that was like the only scene in the whole of the third series which I thought was really good.
Yeah.
I feel like it was, and I don't feel like it's necessarily bad witch writing. I feel like it's just bad writing, because it's just choppy and all over the place, and having Sabrina be like, I need to save my man. I'm like, she's supposed to be this whole, I mean, I know she's a teenager, but still.
My God. I know.
Yeah.
Feeling a lot Scooby-Doo-ish
Yeah.
and they're just like hacking and chunking bits and pieces that, and I thought that there was just massive disrespect to Lilith. I was out. I was out. Like, what?
Yeah, Lilith was such a incredible character, and they had such wonderful things they could do with her, and they just almost like disempowered her throughout the third season completely. So,
total slap in the face.
I agree with that, Tigra, that people do get books and things, and TV and books can get people interested in witchcraft and then find the right information. Because I was massively in love with the craft as a kid, as a teenager, a very young teenager. I mean, I think I must have seen it like after it was out, so like it must have been on video when I was seeing it, but I was absolutely enamored with the craft. But the craft had real witches on set, so it did have more authentic elements to it. Some of it is a little bit, you know, theatrical, obviously it's a movie, but like elements of that and practical magic had actual people who were corresponding to the set and making certain things realistic. So like in practical magic, for example, the thing with the whipped cream and they're resurrecting him was like, it has elements of actual ritual in it, even though then they take that and put it on screen. So that I can really appreciate. In the first season of Sabrina, Navain and Mocha are mentioned in the exorcism, which was cool, kind of, but the names were butchered. Well, yeah, I mean, I butcher language half the time by accident, so I can't really moan at people. I mess the Irish up sometimes too, but yeah. I was into the 90s Sabrina. Me too. I loved the original Sabrina. It was
I know, Salem the cat, even his animatronics. I love it. I love it so. Yeah, I will say that I do love the ants. I think is it Helga, which was the one that is, she's the one that kind of is the cook. She's the cook. Yeah, see, she's a cook. I love her. I really identify with her a lot, except for this cooking thing. But
except for the cooking bit.
Really love that character. I love that character. I think she's awesome. Really, really awesome. But I was like, ugh. I think I was turned off by the whole Lilith thing for sure, because I thought it was a very disrespectful. And then I also just didn't like, when a witch gets married, you know, the night before she gets married, then Satan has to have their way with her. I'm just like, what is going on here? You know, like I just felt like, are we going backwards as women? Like, this sucks. Like I thought it was awful. I thought that was awful. Well, didn't keep me from not watching it though. I did. I watched it all.
I'm gonna play devil's advocate with the witches being fashionable and Killstar. I like Killstar. So I think that witches have seasons of being popular, because when I was a teenager and it was around the craft around the 90s, witches had a big surge in popularity and a lot of things came out of that. That's happening again right now, and it's more accessible because of things like Instagram and things. I think there is definitely problems with just aesthetic, but there at the same time I have massive issues with people who get very hardcore against people like because of this, for the following reasons. One, things that open up fashion and stuff, like I enjoy the fashion, so I'm like, but then we get cool fashion that we can play with, and we get cool witch stuff that we can play with. And I don't agree with certain things, like when they did that beginner witch kit thing, that Sephora thing, I didn't like that very much.
Yuck.
Because that was literally, it was based, it's not like playing with fashion and calling it witch in an aesthetic sense. That was saying it was a beginner witchcraft set, and it was not, right? And it was a whole mess of things. So I like having the fashion available. I like seeing aesthetic. I think that's interesting. I like seeing photographs. I like seeing portals for people that then, like we said with the movies, that sometimes those are things that get people interested, and then the right people do research into it, and then it means something to it. Because the craft was a big thing for me. It opened me up to, I was like, is this a real thing? Because this feels like what I thought I was all along. And that resonated. Like, finally, I have a name for how I feel on the inside. And then from that point, I then went and researched, and this means everything to me. I wouldn't call myself an aesthetic witch, because witchcraft means a lot to me. But that is one of the ways that opened the door for me. And some of that is going to be true for people today. Did you ask if there's going to be a back? Yeah. So the second part of the question was, do you think there will be a backlash?
I think that there are, with any type of religious path, I think that there are people that are happy with it and they stay, and there's some people that kind of come and go. I think that, you mean fashionable wise, they jump in, and then like there's a backlash in a way that they just kind of leave the craft because it wasn't what they thought.
I guess it's worrying about whether or not like a heavy Christian population will backlash the more popular witches get and witchcraft get, I would guess. I mean, I have to be honest with you. I feel like to draw it into the pandemic, like the pandemic is going to wipe out certain, or at least take a chunk out of hardcore religious groups who are refusing to not congregate right now, because they're going to do themselves real damage, which is interesting. That they just don't seem to care. And the sad part of that is, of course, that they might take out innocents at the same time and take beds away from innocent people too. But I really feel like we're in this transition period where we are all very aware of religious structures that are outmoded and outdated, and like political systems in the same way. Like we're in this weird headspace right now where we can see that these things were not working, and that's how we got here. Some people will refuse to open their eyes to it no matter what, but I think the pandemic is doing that for a lot of people. Is like, we can't continue this isn't sustainable. And one of the beautiful things that I did hear people talking about is, we need more goddess energy, we need more strong female energy. Look at these countries with these female leaders doing great, who are rejecting the old boys club. They're not rejecting men, they're rejecting the old boys club, which is very like racist, sexist, homophobic, and all the rest of it. So I feel like there is a surge of that goddess energy almost coming through with what's been happening, which I don't know that it's going to be a backlash, but I think it's going to be change for sure.
For sure. I wish that this pandemic wasn't a political view. We were talking about it, just as a family this morning. And it's just like, why are we not just seeing it as human beings suffering, and we all get on the same boat? But of course, everybody has agendas and whatnot. And I don't think that this should be a political thing. And I'm like, but, politics and, our female bodies have been a political thing for ages. So it's like, maybe that's just where it's always going to be. But I think it's their downfall. Like you were saying. I think there's going to be a lot of people that aren't taking certain things seriously because they're not looking at the bigger picture. Their head is stuck in the agenda of the politician and not what's best for the people.
Wow, apparently the Sephora kit is still available. They just renamed it.
Oh my gosh.
There you go.
Okay.
And someone asked, what do you think are good, was it goddesses or just gods in general for empowerment right now?
For what?
What goddesses do you think are helpful in taking back our power? Well,
Ooh,
Morrigan.
I work with Sekhmet for that.
I could see that. I love Sekhmet.
Mhm.
Sekhmet will kick your ass.
She sure will. She sure will.
To be honest, again, empowerment is an entirely personal thing, and what empowers one person will not empower another. So really, it's where you feel empowered, and whichever goddess leads you to that feeling within yourself. So that's my politically correct feeling answer. I feel very political all of a sudden, like
All of a sudden, you have a responsibility.
yeah. Morrigan, obviously, but also this answer.
Also, that's funny. That's funny.
Okay, so we're probably going to round it up there, guys, because if anyone has any questions that they desperately want answered, quick, and I will allow a last couple of questions. But we've been here for an hour and a half, and honestly, I need to go take my makeup off and chill before bed.
That's right. It is 9. It's like 10:30.
Yeah.
For you. Yeah, it's only 2:30 here in the Pacific Northwest. I have to ask, do you work with any other deities yourself, or do you just tap into their energies while making products? As I know Morgan is your matron.
So the way that I can put it that it makes the most sense to me is Morrigan is obviously my matriarch, my mother, my matron, patron, whatever you want to call her, right? And she has given me the ability to channel, speak with, evoke other gods, and I've never had any problems this far, touch wood, connecting to any other deity that I have needed to, or is asked of me for the store in particular. Other goddesses that I have a more lasting relationship, Freya is one. Freya has a mini, she's the only other goddess that has a mini altar, so she has a mini altar over there. And that is high. The energy just comes in like, whoa.
Did you call me?
Yeah.
Hello.
And in part that's because of the ancestry. It's because her and Morrigan are very alike, although they will fight. If you're not careful, I have to be careful with that, because the thing Freya, that Freya would want a blood offering every single time I made her a product, every single time. No other Nordic god does this, right? All the other Nordic gods are like, we need a bloodletting the first time you make a physical product for us, but that's fine, you can recreate them after that point, right? Not Freya. Freya's like, every single time I'll cut myself making things for her, every single time.
I have to say with Sekhmet, the exact same.
And in the end, I was like, I think this is just going to be. And so she has a little statue. My runes are sat with her, and I will work with her from time to time. Odin does come in sometimes. I've been on a few. He quite often comes in when it's time to do underworld work. Like he will walk me down through the underworld. He does that so often. But mainly
kind
it's
of like a chaperone, or like a,
like a chaperone or a guide, or things like that. He will do that sometimes.
Nice.
But yeah, it's mainly Morrigan in like the bulk of what is for me. But I will say that when I'm working through cycles on Patreon, I'm doing the work with everybody else. So if we're doing like a cycle with Persephone, or if we're doing a cycle, we did a cycle with Brigitte. Oh my goodness, we did a cycle with Domnu, and that was life-changing. It was absolutely incredible, and deeply healing. And I just loved her energy, and she came forward very, very much so.
Okay, we got a couple of questions. There was one up here. Where did it go? I think there were a few. Sorry. Sorry. Let's see. Lunar seedling. I'm struggling a bit with having enough energy to perform magic. What would you guys recommend?
Rest.
Mhm. Yeah, rest.
If your body is telling you to rest and heal, then rest and heal.
Yeah.
It depends what kind of magic you're looking to do is the other thing. That would be my other question, like what kind of magic is it that you're trying to do? But try and find ways that you can do magic that you need right now. So if you need healing right now, it might be like tapping into the earth, like we mentioned earlier. It might be going and sitting with a tree. It might be getting enough water. It might be listening to music. I tend to find that if your energy levels are that low, it's because something needs to be addressed. Like, don't push yourself into magic and rituals if your body isn't ready.
Nope. Yeah, because you're gonna pay for it one way or another, and that could be further draining, and it will be harder for you to come back from that. So don't push it. I say be intuitive. Listen to what your body is saying. There's a reason for it.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. What would you put in Lilith oil?
A lady never tells.
I like that. That's awesome. I think that's it, Joey. I think that's L. Ooh.
Okay. Well, thank you everybody for coming today and asking lots of questions. Wow. That was awesome. I'm really glad we managed to get to work, which was the other thing. I was a bit worried that Zoom was not gonna, but we made it. Thank you to Raven for being here with me.
Thank you.
It's always a pleasure.
Thank you.
I think we had some awesome questions today, guys. I think we covered some awesome stuff. That felt really, really awesome, really great. So thank you guys for coming and chatting with us today. Daisy has gone to sleep by her water thing. You're okay down there? You're not getting wet, are you? Oh goodness.
You did say to hydrate. You did.
Yeah. Daisy took it literally and went to sleep by the water thing, apparently. Thank you. Thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed the blog post. I really enjoyed that blog post on Pathos. That was awesome. And yeah, so thank you again to Miss Ravenflower. Thank you for everybody for their questions. I'll see you very, very soon. I'm going to bed now. Well, makeup and good night. Yes. Bye, guys.
Bye.